Well, we are going to talk about a really cool movement and development in the urban core. And some of you may have heard about the Market to Midtown Bikeway that was announced this week. It was all over Omaha.com. And we have with us Scott Dobbe, who is in charge of Omaha by Design and played a role in this Market to Midtown Bikeway. Scott, good morning. Welcome.
Well, gentlemen, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we've been wanting to have you on the show for some time, and we've got you here this morning. And we'll talk a little bit about Omaha by Design in a moment, the organization that you lead. But first, let's get right into this Market to Midtown Bikeway. We had a pilot bikeway project on Harney Street for a while, and it's running its course. And now there's something new and exciting that is going to permanently replace us. Bring us up to speed with what's going on.
I will do so. Can I also just tell you guys congrats? I was at the CRE Summit, of course, yesterday.
Thank you.
It's a big deal. I mean, you may have said you're prolific. You were a little bit hesitant to say an empire. It's an empire you guys have built, and it's required listening and required reading. I made sure that my whole team has the weekly market report coming into their inboxes. So thanks for doing what you do.
Yeah, sign your friends up, people. It's free, and Grow Omaha Media. We're out there. And we're prolific, but we have not received a Laurel Award from Omaha by Design yet.
Well, goodness gracious, you have
let's
no idea.
talk the Laurel Awards while we brought it up.
Well, actually, can we go to the first question I just asked him?
Sorry.
Okay, fine.
Okay, the reason he's here. Okay, go ahead.
I started that. Okay. Yeah, that was my diversion. Okay, well, the Market to Midtown Bikeway. We are thrilled to have been partnered with the city in this innovative effort. Omaha by Design is a nonprofit. We've also helped to create a separate nonprofit for the focused work of kind of innovating what we do in a city and thinking about how do we work smarter, more efficiently, especially in the realm of transportation and mobility. And so the first major project of Metro Smart Cities was to partner with the city of Omaha to create the Market to Midtown Bikeway pilot. What this is it is kind of the leading edge of what cities are moving to now to make sure that we can have streets that function for all users. We've got a lot of demand downtown. As you know, you guys report on regular, the urban core is growing. We've got folks that like to get around in different modes. And so what we did was we implemented a pilot project, an 18-month pilot project that ran on Harney Street, and it took one lane that had been parking. It shifted the parking into a traffic lane. You still had, depending on where you were, 3 or 4 lanes. And then in that lane, we implemented a 2-way bicycle track. So this was new to the Metro, and we did so. Metro Smart Cities took care of street sweeping and snow removal, and we implemented a hotline so that we could get feedback from adjacent property owners and from riders and motorists. And through this course, we learned and we adapted on the fly that it really worked. And we saw a great uptick in riders using this. It moves them from other places where maybe they were riding in a street that didn't feel as safe to a place where they did feel really safe. And for adjacent property and business owners, residents, they seem to really like it. So from that learning, we're now to the point where we're ready to make this permanent. And that's the announcement that really came about this week.
So Jeff is a huge cross-city bike rider. Rarely see him behind the wheel of an automobile. Just kidding. But you've ridden a bike.
Sure.
Okay.
I know how to.
Okay. So I've got a bike, too. It's in my garage. Obviously, it's a learning curve for everybody, and it not only for the riders, but also for the people in their cars. And what kind of education is being done to make sure that they're looking out for each other?
I think part of that is, experiencing it. And that's what this pilot, in a way, helped to do. If you go to metrosmartcities.org, there's more information in that as well. We tried to share. But generally what we found is it's kind of common sense. It seems new, and at first it's a little adjustment, but we didn't have any problems. We didn't have any real safety issues of any note. And in fact, what we saw was there were more and more riders telling us we needed this because maybe if you're not one of those super confident cyclists who would ride in any kind of traffic, right? And that's not most of us. 90% of us are like, hey, give me a safe way to do it, and I'll do it here or there. And that's what this has seemed to allow.
Yeah, I would. I on the times I do ride a bike, it's only on trails or
Right.
something like that for bikes. Now, so Scott, the pilot was strictly on Harney Street. It went from 10th Street in the old market to the kind of the edge of Midtown, right there at Turner Boulevard. This new plan is partly on Harney, but also partly on Farnham. Why the switch?
That was driven by a number of factors, but really it's working in close concert with the streetcar project. Obviously, major investment coming to the urban core here. And what we see is there's varying widths. The urban core kind of changes over its course. What'll end up happening is this will run from Midtown Crossing, basically Turner Boulevard, on Farnham. And one of the reasons we did that is the hill on Farnham, believe it or not, is a lower slope than it is on Harney. Now, that's not something that probably matters a lot when you're driving your car, but when you're on a bicycle, you feel that difference.
Every
Just a few
degree
degrees.
matters.
It does.
Okay, here's a big question: are motorized scooters allowed? The people are standing on. I see a picture with one on there. Is that permissible on the bike path?
On the bikeway, absolutely. I mean, that's the idea, is to give these different means a
Safer.
place to be that's better for them to be there. Then they're not meant to be on the sidewalk, and in traffic is sometimes
And I
difficult,
think
too.
that's huge, because I think people that pick up those scooters and subscribe and know how to do it, I think they're down in the old market. They're told to stay on the streets, which I understand. But that's another learning curve, and making sure that people are friendly towards each other.
So if you look at the rendering, and they are available on growomaha.com, first of all, the renderings are beautiful. There's the bikeway is separated from everything else by a raised median type look. The renderings show some plantings in them, maybe some decorative brick, and then the renderings also show where the future streetcar will pass as well. So basically, it's multimodal in that you can walk, you can bike, you can use the scooters, there's parking, there's a streetcar, there's still 2 lanes of traffic each direction on Farnham and Harney for the cars to go. Talk to us a little bit about the importance of that, Scott, and how all of those multimodal things are going to work together on these Farnham and Harney corridors.
Well, this is great evidence of how our city is growing up. There's more and more that is coming to the urban core. There's more vibrancy, activity, business, economic activity, and that is supported by moving people around. And the best and most efficient ways that cities are finding, and much larger cities that have a lot greater density in this kind of a space, are looking to multimodal streets like this. It may seem counterintuitive, but actually balancing and kind of in an organized fashion, separating travel lanes from other means like bikes and such, has really proven to boost that.
Well, and yeah, we want to get a downtown that's very active and throughout the day and throughout the year, and these are the types of things that do that. We have Scott Dobbe with us. He is head of Omaha by Design, and we were talking with Scott in the previous section or segment about the Market to Midtown Bikeway and how that's coming along. Scott, before I ask you a couple general questions about Omaha by Design, what are we looking at for timeline? The streetcar is supposed to open in a couple years.
Correct.
The Bikeway,
yeah.
same?
It's really concurrent with the streetcar, and that's because there's a lot of efficiencies. I mean, this is what's fun. It is not part of the streetcar project. They're separate, but they're working closely together. And with you think about all the underground utility work and such.
Staging areas and everything.
Yeah, all that stuff is going to come together. And I think there's going to be some efficiencies, too, that actually help to save cost in both these ways for putting that in then. So you can imagine whenever the streetcar comes online, that's about when we're going to see the Bikeway back.
Okay, so you had mentioned Metro Smart Cities, which is a nonprofit that was created by Omaha by Design and several other partners, and you work really closely with the city and the developers. Kind of give us an overview other than this Bikeway project we're talking about. What does your organization do? What do you guys get involved with each week?
Well, there's a lot going on. So we are Omaha by Design. We're the region's nonprofit hub for people-centered urban design and policy. And what does that mean? I mean, I think the listeners here, are probably those that are tuned into what is urban design. But for a lot of folks, it's the air we breathe. It's the built environment that surrounds us. How do we make sure that we shape it in terms of its capacity to grow and be a thriving place and full of, great. You mentioned Exarban Village, of course. I mean, my wife and I were there last night in the inner rail. I mean, the place was just hopping. Okay, well, that's urban design, and that's the kind of creative activity of shaping a city that Omaha by Design exists to help. It has us then working in a lot of fields. We're doing affordable housing. If you see public art rising across the city, there's a good chance that we had something to do with that.
Love that.
Yeah, I mean, even the silos at Highway 75 and I-80 that you might see. That
big mural?
The big mural.
ConAgra mill. Yeah, that's really cool, by the way.
Thank you. And I mean, all credit to the donors that help make it happen, the artists that do it, et cetera.
I thought I saw you on that scaffolding.
That was not me, no sir. But props to them. Yeah, and then we help kind of plan and develop. We look ahead, and that's our great privilege. I say to my wonderful team that I'm just so blessed to work with. There's 5 of us there that we get to come in with this privilege every day to be thinking about what should the city look like in 15, 20, 25 years. Not everybody else has that opportunity. They're focused on all the many things.
And not every city has so many great stakeholders and philanthropists and people that before they die, they want to see great projects happen.
For sure. I mean, we are massively blessed in that regard. And we're becoming that kind of a city. So it's our joy to be part of that. One great example is we partnered with a broad group, including, again, philanthropy, but also the city of Omaha, other nonprofit partners, to lead the effort to devise a new master plan for the city of Omaha. I mean, I think this is kind of big and breaking news. It's not a secret, but it's just rolling out. It's called We Make Omaha. And there's a survey live right now, wemakeomaha.org. Would be a great place to send folks a quick chance to say, what's your vision for the next 20 years? Because we haven't done a master plan for 30 years. And I don't know, has anything changed in 30 years?
I would say a lot. And I was lightly
involved. You guys look
involved.
just the same.
Yeah, I haven't changed.
You have no idea.
In 1997, I was lightly involved with some charrettes and stuff like that for the Omaha Master Plan. I was just really getting started in my career.
So, Scott, when we talk about the urban core, we're talking, and Omaha by Design, by the way, does more than just the urban core.
Yeah.
But that's something that's getting a lot of people excited because so much movement is happening there and so many blockbuster projects in the urban core. We're basically talking to the river to about Saddle Creek corridor. And when we think about that, we've got this explosion of development happening and going to get even bigger near the Med Center and then downtown. When you look through your Omaha by Design lenses, what do you see? And maybe this is just Scott talking as an opinion, not the organization. But what do you see about the between land, say, right on either side of 480? What can that become after the streetcar?
I think that's where the opportunity is so rich. And as you talk about the urban core, and I appreciate how you frame that, but I'd say even beyond the river. I think it includes Council Bluffs. I think there's so much happening at River's Edge and the potential of Dodge Park Golf Course, et cetera. But if you really look at it, and a satellite image is a great way to look at this, we have so much underutilized space, and that is just a latent asset. It's a thing that we can boost to create a place that people want to be, that attracts the kind of talent we need, that means that this is a great place. So when my 4 kids grow up, this is where they want to live. And ultimately, it helps to make everything we want to see in our city, no matter what part of the city you reside in, easier to do because we've got more value. And that value ultimately, spurs the city services and everything that we need.
Were there some renderings of like capping?
There are.
Over 480?
Yeah.
Like, what do you call it, a lid? Or?
A lid, and it's something I'm very, very interested in. I've seen other cities doing it. I've
grassy
spoken
areas
with them.
and stuff like that.
So basically 480 becomes a tunnel under a park.
Yeah, because a highway like that, an urban highway, we talk about them as almost like they're urban rivers. Mm-hmm. They divide spaces and they become something that like repels development. You don't want to walk right alongside 480, do you? But if suddenly it's just a park and you can just, effortlessly just bridge over, it's become like, think of the value of what that is and the attractiveness of connecting us that way.
Freeways become kind of like subways in places, and that you can still get around fast, but they don't impact the street life.
Yeah, we've got to move people and freight, but then we've got to also make it a place people want to be.
So I want to wrap up with a kind of a philosophical question from your world. Trenton and I are both Omaha natives, so we've been around here for a long time, and we have, given what we do, and with Grow Omaha, we've had a front row seat to watch a mentality change. When we were young professionals and kids here, the thought was build things and make them utilitarian and make some good money. And a lot of parts of Omaha, frankly, if I can use a vernacular word, looked like crap when we were kids. And when we started talking about design standards, understandably, a lot of developers were concerned, like, hey, how can we make money with this? What I've seemed to notice in the new Omaha and some places that we've modeled after is that as design standards increase, property values increase. So talk to us a little bit about how you balance the needs of developers to make a profit and to be incentivized to keep taking risks with this very real desire that we all have to make Omaha beautiful.
I love the question, and this is what we spend our days thinking of. I mean, as we sit here in, as you call it, the KFAB studios high above Underwood Avenue, right? I think we're in the epicenter of an example of that. Dundee was developed years ago. Now, this is a development, and it was, it was built to sell houses and et cetera. It was a streetcar stop, but it has a value that has lasted. My wife,
style.
And a style, right? We can build, and we can absolutely build places like this today and anywhere in the metro. And I think that's the beauty. We just have to be intentional about it and have a life cycle thought that it really isn't much more expensive to build it right from the get-go. But we have to build it for people first and foremost. And that's something we got away from a little bit in the latter part of the last century.
All right. Well, Scott, we sure appreciate the work you guys are doing, and thank you for taking part of your Dundee Day Saturday to come.
It's
join
lively
us.
out there.
Yeah, it's Dundee Day outside KFAB studios right now, folks. But Scott, thank you so much, and best of success to you and your
also
colleagues.
you're running for office.
I am. ScottForOmaha.com, the RMTA, the Regional Metropolitan Transit Authority.
Okay, Scott Dobbe.
Are you running against other people?
Yeah, it's democracy. Yes,
absolutely. All right, we got Scott.
After last week, I didn't know we were having that.
We got to take a break. No politics, Trenton.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.